In this session, we'll be discussing about these changes. If the fasting is prolonged, that is, we call it starvation. The objective of this session is the learner shall be able to describe metabolic changes during this period. Okay. So if the fasting is prolonged, that may be 1 day or more days, then various metabolic changes are taking place as no nutrient is supplied, no dietary input, no nutrient is supplied, then no fuel from the diet is available. Okay, so is there any other way? Can liver supply glycogen? But early fasting, most of the glycogen is consumed. So very little or no glycogen, very little or no glycogen in liver, no glycogen in liver. So if in this condition, can some organs function? No. There are some organs or tissues, they have minimal requirement. Without glucose, they cannot function. Minimal requirement. So what are those organs or tissues? So that is brain, okay, RBC, red blood cells, and bone marrow. Okay, bone marrow. Okay, renal medulla. Okay, then so there is peripheral nerves. Okay, nerves. These organs, these tissues, so they have glucose as a major fuel, and of course during fasting, starvation, some changes that take place in some of these tissues. Why neurons? They are dependent on glucose. When you talk about the neurons, they lack enzymes for oxidation of fatty acids. They lack enzymes required for the oxidation of fatty acids. RBC, so they lack mitochondria. Mature RBC, they lack mitochondria. Brain, what happens? Fatty acids cannot enter. Okay, why fatty acids cannot enter? Because fatty acids, when they are transported in binding with the albumin that cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. Okay, then how these tissues they get glucose? That is through the hepatic gluconeogenesis. So synthesis of glucose. What are the sources? The sources for this hepatic gluconeogenesis, what are the sources? The sources are lactate and alanine. Amino acid. The lactate, there is a Cori cycle is there. Okay, alanine, that is glucose, alanine cycle. When you go through these cycles, Cori cycle and glucose-alanine cycle, suppose let us talk about the lactate. So when the glucose enters the peripheral tissues, that is converted to the lactate. That lactate goes back to the liver for the purpose of gluconeogenesis. That is, takes place through the Cori cycle. Alanine, which is from the proteins in the peripheral tissues, alanine is formed. That alanine again goes back to the liver. It may be for the protein synthesis or it may be for the synthesis of glucose. That is, we call it glucose-alanine cycle. So what happens here? The lactate and alanine cycle we talked about. But because of this lactate and alanine, will there be net synthesis of glucose? No. because it is a mere replacement takes place. Mere replacement is of glucose is taking place. So because what happens, glucose is converted to lactate, and again lactate goes back to converted to glucose, like alanine also. So in this condition, what happens? So there is a mere replacement. There is no net synthesis. Using the energy from the beta oxidation of fatty acids or oxidation of fatty acids in the liver for the gluconeogenesis process. Okay. Then, when you talk about the brain, in the brain, so the complete oxidation takes place. The complete oxidation takes place, CO2 plus H2O, water. Okay, in this above two instances, what is happening? Either glucose is completely oxidized, or so there is a mere replacement is taking place. There is no net synthesis. So then, what are the sources for the net synthesis? What are the sources for net synthesis? The sources for net synthesis. Sources for net synthesis. What are the sources for net synthesis? Can it be fatty acids? Can it be fatty acids? Because from the fatty acids, acetyl coenzyme A formation is taking place. Can it be converted to the glucose? No. Can it be converted to glucose? In what way we can say there is no net synthesis of glucose from the acetyl coenzyme A, because acetyl coenzyme is completely oxidized. Then what about other sources? The other sources are glycerol. Glycerol comes from the triacetyl glycerol after releasing the fatty acid. Can glycerol be source for the glucose? Glucose, yes. Glycerol can be source for the glucose, but it is not the main source. What is the main source? The main source is protein. The main source is protein. The protein of which organ? We say skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle. Protein of the skeletal muscle. What happens? These proteins, they are split into proteolysis amino acids. These, most of them partially metabolized into alpha keto acid and alpha keto acid, or we can say alpha keto glutarate. So we, in that another way, say alpha keto glutarate and pyruvate. When proteolysis is taking place, most of them are converted to alanine and then glutamine. So what happens? These, they converted to these and like this. Okay. Then what is the main source of nitrogen? The main source of nitrogen is, there is branched chain amino acids. There are 3 branched chain amino acids are there. They are the main source for nitrogen. So branched chain amino acids, they are main source of the nitrogen. Nitrogen, you can say for the in other way, so they are the main source of nitrogen source. Okay. What are these branched chain amino acids? The branched chain amino acids are valine, okay, that is glucogenic. This is leucine, that is ketogenic, and then isoleucine, okay, that is both glucogenic and ketogenic. From these 3 amino acids, so there is transamination. Transfer of amino group is taking place, leads to formation of keto acids. So different keto acids. Okay, here another keto acid and here another keto acid. So what happens? So these keto acids, partially they can partially they can go to the blood, partially they can go to blood, and from their liver, where so they can be converted to the further metabolism is taking place, either glucose or ketone bodies. So these from align, so leads to formation of glucose. From the leucine, it is only ketone bodies, it is ketogenic, ketone bodies. Okay, here both ketone bodies and glucose, ketone bodies and glucose. Okay, then when you are talking about the fasting, during the fasting, so there is a link in the liver. Suppose when you talk about the liver, so there is a link between the synthesis of glucose and urea. So let us see. For the synthesis of urea, we require nitrogen groups. Okay, then amino acids. So by alpha ketoglutarate, by transamination, as I said above, transamination. Okay, so leads to formation of alpha keto acid. Okay, and so glutamate. So this alpha keto acid can be converted to glucose and glutamate. So provide nitrogen substance, so nitrogen compounds for urea synthesis. Okay, then what are the other sources for nitrogen? Other sources for nitrogen are glutamate. So by the action of oxidative deamination, glutamate dehydrogenase, so converted to ammonia. So as you know, urea synthesis requires ammonia. Then this glutamate combines with oxaloacetate. Oxaloacetate can be converted to aspartate by the enzyme aspartate transaminase, and also gut mucosa. Gut mucosa supplies the ammonia, produces ammonia, also citrulline. This is how the proteins through the amino acids they contribute for the both urea synthesis and glucose synthesis in the liver. After completion of proteins converting into amino acids, then leading to the formation of urea synthesis and glucose synthesis, let us focus our shift to other major organ, major tissue during the fasting. That is very important. What is that one? It is adipose tissue. So adipose tissue are rich with the fat. During the fasting, there is a decreased secretion of insulin. Glucagon secretion increases. That means insulin by glucagon ratio is decreased. In that condition, what happens? In that condition, there is an increased lipolysis, breakdown of lipids, lipolysis. So what happens? Lipolysis, more fatty acids are in blood. More fatty acids are in blood. These fatty acids during the fasting used in preference to glucose in many tissues. Like in heart and muscle. In fact, in heart, normally also fatty acid is the preferred fuel, so that the glucose can be spared to the tissues where there is minimal compulsory requirement is there. So when you talk about the oxidation of fatty acids, when you talk about the oxidation of fatty acids, this oxidation of fatty acids, if there is an increase in oxidation of fatty acids, So there is a glycolysis is inhibited. Glycolysis is inhibited, and also the pyruvate oxidation is also not taking place. Pyruvate oxidation is also not taking place or very much low. So what happens in the liver? In the liver, okay, the fatty acid oxidation, okay, produces ATP. That ATP used for gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis. So, as I said, very little acetyl coenzyme A is oxidized. Very little acetyl coenzyme is oxidized completely. When you talk about the fatty acids in liver, okay. So then, what is the consequence? The consequence is the accumulation of acetyl coenzyme A. There is increased acetyl coenzyme A. That is in the liver mitochondria. This acetyl coenzyme A converted to the ketone bodies. The ketone bodies which can be further metabolized are acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate. Whereas acetone cannot be further metabolized. So they are released. These both are released. Into blood. These two are source for energy for many tissues. They are the source for energy. For many tissues. So what happens when you see during the fasting, the many tissues use ketone bodies in preference to glucose. In that way, glucose is spared. See how coordinated the metabolism by various organs during the state of prolonged fasting or starvation. Let us see the organ wise. The brain. The fatty acid or fatty acids are not oxidized. They are not oxidized. As I said, why? They cannot enter blood-brain barrier. In that condition, very little amount of glucose is available. How brain gets the energy? So ketone bodies. So in the blood, okay, from the blood enter brain, and they are oxidized. Okay. Then we can say the ketone bodies in the blood, they are alternate fuel in brain. Okay. Then the ketone bodies will entirely take care of the responsibility of energy requirements for the brain. No. They cannot completely replace glucose. Earlier, glucose was the major fuel. Now ketone bodies, they are the major fuel, but still there is some amount of glucose is required to the brain for its function. That is the most important thing we have to know. Whatever the amount of ketone bodies you are supplying, we can say, I'm not going to give glucose, so please manage it. Brain politely will say, no, sorry my friend, I cannot. Please give me some minimal requirement of glucose. That is the importance of glucose. Okay, that is the importance of gluconeogenesis process during either fasting or starvation state. Okay, so because the fatty acid oxidation depending upon the fatty acids, so will take place at the latter stage of the starvation. Okay, then the ketone bodies. What is the advantage of using these ketone bodies? When ketone bodies utilization is increased, then what happens? Protein breakdown will decrease. Also, it leads to the decrease in alanine release. Okay. So all these things will take place. Then let us see what is the consequence. What is the consequence of this one? The consequence of this one is muscle wasting is decreased. And so amount of glucose synthesized that also will decrease. Amount of glucose okay, synthesized in liver, that is also will decrease as long as ketone body levels are maintained at a high level by hepatic fatty acid oxidation. Okay, then less need for glucose, or we can say less need for glucogenic amino acids and less need for wasting or breaking down of muscle tissue. This is the importance of ketone bodies. Once ketone body levels, high levels are maintained, there is a less dependence because hepatic fatty acids are oxidized, ketone bodies are produced. From the ketone bodies, high levels are maintained. Because of the high levels of ketone bodies, they can take care of energy requirement of many tissues, including brain. There is a less need for glucogenic amino acids. When there is a less need for glucogenic amino acids, less proteolysis. When there is less proteolysis, the muscle wasting or muscle breakdown will decrease and muscle wasting will decrease. All these aspects we will revisit through the diagrammatic way. Now, let us see how the inter-organ coordination is taking place during the starvation. You can see here, okay, so liver, pancreas, okay, gut, brain, lymphatic tissue, adipose tissue, RBC, and muscles. Okay, then let us first concentrate on liver, where the center point is glucose. From the gut, there is no entry of any nutrient during this phase. From the pancreas, so there is a secretion of glucagon. Okay, then it's glucagon. Okay, then so here what happens? Let us focus it on the glucose. Okay, glucose, there may be little glucose through the gluconeogenesis process it is there. Okay, as you know, that glucose goes to the brain, whatever the little glucose, okay, so that is maybe oxidized to the CO2 plus H2O. Glucose also goes to the RBC and peripheral nerves, etc. Okay, then our focus shall be how the glucose synthesis is taking place. Earlier we talked about, the lactate. So as I said, the glucose, there is an essential requirement of glucose to the RBC. From there, lactate is produced. The lactate to the Cori cycle, process of the Cori cycle goes back to liver. Okay, then, so from there, goes back to the liver. The lactate is going back to the liver, and from there, it is involved in the gluconeogenesis process. That is Cori cycle. Then, what we talked about earlier, proteins, through the process of proteolysis, amino acids are released. The amino acids are major amino acids, alanine, okay, and also glutamine. What happens here? The glutamine enter the enterocytes. From the enterocytes, the glutamine is utilized for the synthesis of purines and pyrimidines, and also converting into alanine is taking place. So this what we call glutaminolysis. And this alanine enters liver. The alanine enters liver. From there, it is converted to glucose. That is glucose-alanine cycle. Glutamine is involved, alanine is involved. Skeletal muscle proteins are hydrolyzed. Some partially they are oxidized, metabolized, converting into maybe pyruvate, alpha-ketoglutarate, that may be converted to the alanine. And again, this alanine, which is can directly goes to the liver. Okay, then that is the gluconeogenesis process. This is about the fatty acids. This is about proteins and amino acids. Next major organ is adipose tissue, where there is a presence of fat. In the presence of fat, so what happens here? In the presence of fat can split into fatty acids and also split into glycerol. This glycerol again enters the liver. Okay, this is converted to glucose through the gluconeogenesis process. Fatty acids supplied in many tissues. They are the major source of energy. One is to the muscles, fatty acids. They enter here. Then oxidation takes place. Energy is produced. The fatty acids then go to the liver and leads to formation of ketone. Leads to the formation of ketone bodies. The ketone bodies can be supplied to various tissues, including brain, okay, from the where they are used. So ketone bodies becomes major fuel for the brain, even though there is a requirement of glucose at the latter stage of the starvation. Okay, this is what is happening at the various stages of the starvation. Okay, so this you can see here like this. First, we have focused on the glucose, how the gluconeogenesis is taking place through the lactate and alanine, and also from the muscle protein proteolysis, alanine, glutamine can enter the enterocytes. some amount is utilized for the synthesis of purines or pyrimidines, and also there is a conversion to the alanine and enters the liver, and where it can be converted to glucose. Alanine can directly enter from the muscles, from other tissues. Then it is so gluconeogenesis process is taking place. Gluconeogenesis process is taking place. Okay, then fat, adipose tissue, glycerol and fatty acids. Fatty acids can be supplied to various tissues for energy purpose, including muscles. Fatty acids enter the liver where they are converted to ketone bodies. These ketone bodies are supplied to the brain and then used for the energy purpose. Glycerol enters the liver where converted to glucose through the gluconeogenesis process. These are the various processes steps which are taking place during the various stages of starvation and the coordination between among various organs. In this session, we have discussed about integration of metabolism at organ tissue level and starvation, that is prolonged fasting. Objectives we have set in this session were metabolic changes in the later stages of fasting, that is the starvation. So if we continue to fast over 12 hours and beyond that 24 hours, we enter prolonged fasting, that is what we call starvation. No fuel is available, nutritional fuel is available, and almost no glycogen. Okay, because there is even glycogen is consumed during early stages. So, but some organs, they cannot function without minimal requirement of glucose. So as I said, there is a low blood glucose and there is decreased insulin glucagon ratio. Okay, then gluconeogenesis will be taking place from lactate and then alanine. Okay, then brain completely oxidizes the glucose. Okay, so when gluconeogenesis, lactate and alanine, but there is no net synthesis, only replacement of whatever it is consumed. Okay, then so there is a gluconeogenesis is required for additional ones. That may be glycerol. Gluconeogenesis is taking place, so lipolysis is taking place. Breakdown of fat. Then acetyl coenzyme A levels are increased and citrate levels are also increased. That decreases the glycolysis, inhibits glycolysis. As I said, there is gluconeogenesis from the pyruvate, lactate and alanine, but not the net synthesis. For the net synthesis, some amino acids are required. Further proteolysis is taking place. In the proteolysis, so amino acids, so they result into the net synthesis of this glucose. Okay, the main source are branched chain amino acids. Then the next what happens, so there is a link between the urea synthesis and glucose synthesis, as so there is amino acids, nitrogen is supplied to the synthesis of urea and carbons are supplied to the glucose. Then next we go to the, after few days, after more than 72 hours, the lipolysis is increased, then ketone body synthesis is increased. Then oxidation of acetyl coenzyme A is decreased. So whatever the acetyl coenzyme is left, that is diverted to the synthesis of ketone bodies. Then after several days or weeks, ketone body synthesis is increased. It becomes the main source, main fuel for the brain, shunting the glucose as a fuel to the second position. The brain, the main fuel will be the ketone bodies, not the glucose. Glucose will be the second one. Okay, then post 24 hours of starvation, you can see glucose requirement is 120 grams, whereas after several days, it is only 40 grams. Okay, once the triacylglycerol stores exhausted after lipolysis, what will be the main source? The main source is body proteins. Once body protein decreases 50% of their normal level, death results. Death results. So due to loss of functions of heart, liver or kidney. Heart, liver or kidney. So these are the various aspects during the starvation. The ketone body levels are increases, then ketoacidosis results, and pH changes will be there, and ultimately, so there will be catastrophic effects. Okay, so death results either the failure of the function of the heart, liver, or kidney. Okay, with this, we have completed the series of lectures on the integration of metabolism, okay, at the tissue or organ level. Okay.